What's up? What's
Very,
up? What's
very
up?
professional intro there.
Like that?
Very good.
We're stepping up. We're stepping up in the world, ladies.
I
Ah,
know. I know.
oh
Here we
my
go.
God. Thought I was
So we
on the
got
wrong show for a minute.
so we got Mike Morris and Lee Priest today. What's up,
What's
Mike?
happening? What's happening, fellas? All right. So today's subject, Armon, is coaches,
Yeah.
gurus, the good, the bad,
Gurus.
and definitely the ugly.
Yeah.
My favorite topic, because I'm the outlier. I never believed in coaches or gurus.
That's why you're the man for this podcast.
That's why
man.
you're here, Lee.
And Mike, definitely, chime in. I'm sure you worked with people before and you know coaches. So let's get going. Let's start the whole thing up, Armon, with this outlaw guy. You started out.
Okay, yeah. Lee wouldn't have done well with a coach. That's the thing. Lee's Lee. If someone told Lee to do something,
I'd be like, fuck off. It's like, the only thing is, like, I believe in it. Like, for the average person, yes, the mum and pop who want to get into training and learn a diet and stuff. But even then, if your coach has shown you after 6 months how to train, you should know how to train. Yeah, you can go back for top-ups and maybe a new program and diet. But to me, because I started training at 13 and dieting and competing at 13, I always figured no one knew my body better than me, and I knew what drugs worked for me. I knew what food worked for me. I knew how to train and do cardio. So like I said, years into it, Hani did come to me and say, Lee, I'd like to work with you. And I showed Hani my diet. He goes, oh, that's good. You keep doing that. Here's my training. Keep doing that. The only thing he gave me was a list of 8 different drugs. And I said, I'm not taking that many fucking drugs all at once. I'm not going to do it. So to me, it's almost like, if Armon, you come to me as a coach, I'd be like, I don't know your body. I don't know what foods react to you. So I'll just say, here's a diet, here's some drugs, go train. Couple of weeks, how you feeling, how you looking? Okay, change this, change that. I'm like, we can really do that yourself. So I've always said, if you have a good support group, a good training partner, friends around you, good wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, to keep you in that positive frame of mind. Because to me, it was more that mental thing, when you start to overthink shit. Should I cut this out? Should I add this in? I might be a little bit better if I do this and do that. And you're going to fuck it up. But even coaches do that, because a coach can say, okay, we're going to pull the carbs out and then we're going to fill you back up. And half the time their peak week, hocus pocus week, can backfire. So, it's a hit and miss thing.
it is. And, I see the other side of it where, you've got some guy that tried to compete before. He's done it, by himself. His gym buddies helped him, and then he looks terrible. And then he hires a coach, and then boom, he wins the show. Or me and King see it all the time. King and I see it all the time. Yeah. You get somebody come to you, they're like, "Oh, I just want to put on the muscle, this and this." Next thing you know, within a year, they're up on the stage. They would have done that if they didn't have a coach. It's just so a lot of people, Lee's an anomaly.
But I think the trend is like you said, with Boss of Outlaw. Yeah. I know so many people, like, they'll go to one coach. If they don't get the result they want, they'll go to the next coach and then the next coach. Or then you'll get someone like Boss of Outlaw. You'll get a Boss of Outlaw that has a few good competitors. Everyone goes, that's the guy to go to. So everyone will go to him now because it's the latest guy to go to,
Yeah, that's the problem. It's just like, who has the magic potion? Who has the secret?
Yeah,
and
there is none.
It's like, to this day, I'm like, people are still falling for this. Like, first it was hot, like Hani, you had Hani, you had Chad, you had George, you had Hani, but all those guys were very good coaches, and they were, especially, I worked with Hani, I worked with George for a little bit. I know King, you work with Chad. Mike, did you work with any of those guys?
No. I'm kind of in Lee's camp, where I started when I was 12, and I always say I'm the chairman of my own board. Once I got popular, I did have some coaches that advised me, but they were just giving me advice, just like Lee was saying about they give you a list of this. I was like, I'm not taking this. I know this doesn't work well in my body. So by the time I got to the point where I would have a coach or somebody that wanted to coach me, I already had 12 years under my belt and was about to turn pro. And I'm the one that's standing on stage. I'm the one that's getting all the the recognition. So I feel like I'm, know what's best for my body. And that's just kind of like my view on it. I mean, we all remember a time where there were no, not pro trainers, but just personal trainers, and then someone would go and get a certificate. And when I first moved here to Arizona and I started training people in like commercial gyms, they're like, well, you need to have a certificate. I was like, I'm a pro. I don't need anything, So, I mean, there's all these kids in here that have certificate. What do I need a certificate for? Like, I've kind of done the thing and walked the walk. So yeah, like I'm still in kind of Lee's camp as far as, the coaches can only advise you on the best way that they know how, but I think the athlete kind of knows their body a little better. I mean, it's kind of like someone that's going to train a baseball player or a football player. You can tell them what to do, but if they're not going to do the practice and they're not going to do the reps and they're not going to do the diet or listen to you 100%, there's kind of a disconnect there. So.
I'm gonna let the people. I'll let the people in on the secret. Everyone's looking for that secret because they see somebody like Phil Heath with Harney, or they see Ronnie with Harney, or someone like that. I'll let you in on the secret. It's that person's fucking genetics. That's the secret.
Yep. And how hard they're willing to work, how hard they're willing to work in the gym, how hard they're willing to work with their diet, how much they're willing to research the drugs and the chemicals, and it comes down to the athlete himself, I think.
Yeah. And there's a lot of great coaches out there, like all these coaches we've mentioned, and on the picture too. They're all that we mentioned. They're all great coaches. They all can get you there the same way. They might have different methods, but they're all going to get you there the same way. And some might, King said, you did Melis's insulin thing one time. It didn't work for you, right? And some people match better with other people. But it's getting to the point where, like Lisa, it's like girlfriends. They go through coach after coach after coach, and they don't even give the person a chance to learn their body. And then the Stefan guy, they're like, everybody rushed to him, and then I sent King a picture the other day, but it was funny. But and then in the comments under it, but people are praising this guy, and I'm like, look at his athletes. All these athletes were top tier athletes, and I'm sure Stefan is a great coach. No, I'm not taking anything away from him at all. And there's a lot of great coaches out there, but people that think there's just some special, potion out there, it just doesn't exist. You need someone that you mesh well with that can get you to that stage and get you there. I mean, look at Blessing, like, for instance. He was, what'd you guys think of Blessing?
Yeah, Watery. It was good. Didn't he win? When he won the New York, it was with Farah, wasn't he? Why did he leave Farah?
It was George. Who knows? Why? Who knows? These guys, they get in each other's ear. This is this, and then they hire someone else, and they don't stick with anybody. That's why you never know. And that's the thing. The coach will take a lot of the blame too, because you got to remember, like you said, when people go to Boss of Outlaw, he doesn't really know your physique, so he's got to experiment. Really, just experimenting, aren't they, with foods and drugs and that? And sadly, with this sport, the main time they're going to experiment is that last week when they're either going to carb you up, do insulin, do food, and that's the most important week. But if it goes wrong on those last few days, and then okay, we might see someone coming a bit smooth with Boss of Outlaw. But then he'll take that information to the next show and go, okay, we won't do that again. But how many times do you have to not do that again before you hit the right peak? So it's always going to be hard, because as you're learning, that's as you make the changes as you go. But as you're making the changes as you go, each one could be a 5th place, a 4th place, a 6th place, until you actually get it right and win a show. So,
Well, communication. That's where that's the main aspect, the main thing that's pushing the if you want to find yourself a good coach or a good guru. Me personally. Now, I agree with Lee and Mike. You do have to get to know your own body first, because I know professionals who don't know anything about getting ready for shows, which sounds ridiculous, but I'm telling you, they have no idea what they're doing because they just listen to other people their whole life. That's number one. Number two, Lee and Mike and Armon, you guys have to understand, you've seen You've seen the whole thing, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'll give you two examples. I got two clients right now. One of them is a figure competitor who just won an overall, the Fuad Abiyad overall in Toronto this past weekend. Dealing with her is incredibly hard, but I am a very patient man, and I listen and I repeat, and I know how it is, and I know how tired you get and how emotional it is, especially for women at the end. She needs me. Because I could tell her 60 times what to do. She still won't get it unless I call her again about 2 hours afterwards and repeat it one more time. Okay? That's just the way she is. On the other side of the spectrum, I got another client. He's a super heavyweight bodybuilder going to compete this weekend for his pro card in Toronto. If he does 10 minutes of cardio, he looks like a stick. His metabolism is so fast that I have to feed him junk every day. So this is where the coach comes in and lead. Just like you said, you got to experiment. Every time, when I spoke to him, the point I'm trying to get to is when I spoke to him initially when he hired me, I was like, listen, what was your best look? Send me pictures. What did you do when you look like this? What do you look like at 2 weeks out? What do you look like? I figured out that this guy's problem is he looks great 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out, he's on the money. You know why? Because he's still eating. He's still relaxed. Yeah. Soon as he drops his water or does anything like that, he shows up on stage looking like a little stick. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, so I'm feeding him right now as we speak. He's 2 days out. He's hammering the hamburgers and the fries, and he's looking fantastic. And I'm like, that's exactly what we're going to do the day of the show. What Lila Brada told me a long time ago. Why do you guys change everything the night before the show if you look great? What are you doing? What's with the pie filling? What's with the? I'm like, well, that's just the way we do it now. He goes, well, it's stupid. He came right out and said it to me. He goes, well, it's stupid. You look great 3 days out, just maintain and get up on stage.
Well, that's what I've always said, because you figure if you're doing a 16-week diet, 15 weeks, you're eating the same time, the foods, the drugs, the training, the cardio. So from 1 to 15, you're doing everything precise. Week 16, some people stop training. They cut their food back, change their drugs. And when you're finely tuned, if you make changes like that, it's hit or miss. But it's like you said, communication is key. And I find some people won't even question their coach. Take this, eat this. Why? You got to be able to say, why am I taking this? When I take this or eat this, I don't feel good. But some people just go, my coach told me to do it, so I do it. So you got to have that communication where you can have a good coach, where you can question him and say, hey, I don't feel good doing this. It makes me feel this way, and make changes. But some people just whatever the coach says they do. And sadly, we're seeing people run into problems if the coach is saying, eat all this, take these drugs, but I don't feel good on them. You got to take them. So you got to, like I said, have that communication back and forth.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. You know, you need to listen to like I got a kid right now. He could be the next, literally the next C-bum. He's that good. He's young. He's like 21. But mentally, he's all over the place. And then his coach before, he looked great, what he was doing, but he was under eating. He was eating. I added 3 more meals to his diet. He looks way better now. And then he had all these misconceptions about these certain compounds and what they do, and they just had people have no idea about stuff. They don't actually. A lot of these competitors, they don't want to even take the time to learn. They just want someone to tell them, hey, this is what you do. They want to eat, sleep, train, and focus. Even when I was competing, I started coaching people when I was competing, and I still had coaches too. I still needed that person there to tell me, like, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that, because I would second guess everything. I prepped my show myself for like, I think about 3 or 4 shows, and I just didn't come on point at all, just because I was like, okay, maybe I could do a little more carbs or maybe this, and it just didn't work for me. So for me, I always needed a coach myself too, whether, you know, it was just someone there just looking, you know, like Dave did a lot too. It was like, yeah, you look good, add a little more carbs here or whatever. But a lot of these guys, they changed up way too many things. And then this Boss of Outlaw guy, Keegan, I called it, he took on way too many clients. I mean, when people's coming in and pay, you know, whatever he charges, let's say, you know, $3,000 to $4,000 for prep. Boom, 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 boom. How do you say, like, stop? No, I'm not taking any more clients because I can't handle it. I understand. You don't have kids and wife, which takes a lot of time away from things you do. And when you're single and just doing that solely, you think maybe, oh, I could take on all these people, but you can't. And it shows all these guys. First I think it started with Wesley Vissers. He got his name because he was coaching Wesley Vissers, but then Wesley Vissers came off, and then Martin came off, and then Blessing came off, and then numerous other guys came off, and that's who their coach was. And
do you think? I was going to say, do you think the athletes too, when they're coaching that many people, and they're your competition in the same contest, mentally you'd be like, is he given more time to this person? Could just say he's training 10 people and one of them's Derek, and Derek's got a chance at winning the Olympia. Now, and if I was being realistic, I'm like, look, I might make top 6. I'm never going to win it. So when he comes to my room, does he just give me 10 minutes, but then he'll give Derek a whole hour because he knows Derek's got a better chance of winning than you? So mentally, if you're being trained by the same guy, it'd be hard to be like, is he giving favoritism to this athlete over me? But like you said, being told what to do, I think I told you when Paul Dillette lived with me, and he had Chad helping him. I said to Paul, I said, why do you need help? You should know what to do. Because I was standing there, I'm going, what should I have for lunch, steak or chicken? He goes, that's why. He goes, I walked to the fridge. Chad's got it written out. I have to eat this. He goes, I'm just lazy. I don't want to think about it.
People second guess it too much. And
I never got that feeling, to be honest with you, Lee. That's a good point. I never got that feeling with Chad. He had Nasser, me, Ronnie, Flex, Chris. He had all the best. I mean, and I was like, when he came to my room, see, you have to match. I think Armon made a good point. You have to match personalities with your coach. Mm-hmm. That's very, very important. Chad was very dry. He'd look at you, no expression on his face, and he'd say, all right, keep doing what you're doing. I'll be back in 2 hours. And you kind of like, you're like, okay, so I got used to it. And then the funny thing was, Kim would come with him once in a while, and as soon as he would leave the room, Kim would come back in the room real quick. He's like, "You look great," and then she closed the door. Like, right,
but do you think back then that because
that's all I needed to hear.
Yeah. And when we were competing back then too, I think there's more comrade type ship. We all got along. Even if you knew someone was going to beat you, we still had fun because we knew if we come in our best. But do you think social media has changed it now, where these athletes feel different towards each other and that sort of thing, because they're posting photos more, whereas we just had the magazines. But now all these photos are going up how he looks 2 weeks out, and if your coaches train him, you might be like, well, why does he look better than me? So now with all this social media, I think their thinking's a lot different to what we had back in the day.
And it does happen with the clients. Even when we had Justin Compton on here, I didn't even know this until Justin came on here. We were doing the 2011 Nationals. Hani was both our coaches. And they asked on an interview, they asked Hani, who do you have in the show? And he said, I have Armon Adibi in the heavies, and I have Tajul in the super heavies. He didn't even talk about Justin Compton or these other people he had. And so Justin got mad about that because he felt like he wasn't being paid attention to. And it does happen. It does happen a lot. These guys, you hear about all their guys that do well, but all these other guys that hire them, whether on a state level or whatever, you never hear about these guys because they don't do well, but they still keep getting paid every month, and because of their name, and people rush to that person and rush to this person. And at least I'll say this: at least Hani, he didn't take on everybody. He took on a certain amount of people that he thought he could handle, and he was pretty spot on with his people. But Boss Outlaw guy, he's taken on everybody, and now it's all over the place. These guys are not even coming in shape at all. They're like weak. They look weeks out. Martin looked weeks out from his show. Blessing looked weeks out from his show. They're not even coming in close. So when you have that many people going into a show, it's just not humanly possible to do that. I don't care what kind of machine you are. Don't you agree, King?
Yeah, I actually sent the picture to Palumbo, and he posted a picture on RX of Blessing, and he was 4 days out, and I immediately texted him. I'm like, you're proud of this to post this? I don't understand. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, he looks like he's 4 weeks out to me. I know what 4 days out is supposed to look like. You're supposed to look like grainy and dead and face sucked in, which leads me to something else that I would like to hear from Lee, all of us. Why are they coming in with puffy faces? We never came in. We had the death face, sucked in, cheekbones sticking out of your face. Why is it that they're coming in? Because I know that this went viral. Armon, you can speak on this. What is the reason for the puffy faces on stage?
Well, I know what they're doing. Go ahead, Lee.
I think they're trying to carb up too much, and then I think must be the insulin and drugs and that, because like you said, in our day, you could have a tracksuit on, but if you saw Kevin's face or something, you're like, fuck, he's in shape. Just seeing the jaw bones when they chew, you'd see the striations in their jaw muscles and stuff. But going back to the internet, I think it's a strange thing too now, because back in the day, we knew Chad trained people, but we just sort of knew Chad's name. But it's almost like now, some of these gurus like Boss of Outlaw and other people, Patrick and all these, they're almost becoming stars, or they're liking the attention more than the athlete is. They're almost like they're the main person now. And like you say, you see them on podcasts, you'll see them there, you see their Instagram pages. It's almost like, I'm not saying they're riding the coattails of the athletes, but it's almost like they're becoming a bigger name than the athlete because of what they do. You know, be like, oh, he's such and such. Oh, yeah, Boss of Outlaw trains him, or who. I'm not picking on him, but I'm just saying they talk about the coach more sometimes than the athlete.
You remember Big Ramy, how many people rode his coattail and kind of got cut? So I'm not going to say certain names, but got contracts themselves because they were helping Big Ramy. So it does happen. You know, and like I said, I think he gets this guy, and a lot of people don't even know who he is still. They're like, who's this guy? You know, he's the coach, and he just blew up out of nowhere, like a lot of these guys. And then it just blows my mind, the people that's like, I'm gonna go hire him. Like, what do you think this guy's doing? Then your coach that you won, several shows with already is not going to give you. And they go to this person, and then they look worse. And then what do they do from there? They go hire another coach.
Lee's right though. It's the social media power that really mind fucks a lot of these people.
Oh yeah.
Even this girl that I helped, she's wonderful. I love her, and she's great, and she won the overall, by the way. And she still, as of even today, when I'm still like, we're 2 days out, and I'm like, okay, do this, and this. Are you sure? And I put my hand on my face, and she even starts laughing herself. I'm like, we just crushed it a week ago. Every judge who happened to be Canadian pro judges said you had pro conditioning. I don't know any different. I don't know how else to bring someone in. So if a fit model girl came to me, I'll be like, okay, I think you might as well go to somebody else, because I bring you in dry and grainy and shredded. That's the way I know how to do it. Even then, she's still, you know why? Because she goes on the internet, she goes on social media, she starts listening to these goofballs talking about, oh my God, the diet that I saw with that IFBB Pro Bikini girl. 2 scoops of this mushroom from this mountain from Venezuela with a drip of triglyceride. This I looked at her. I'm like, what is this? She goes, I'm like, how much did you pay for this diet? She goes, well, the whole program cost $5,000. I don't know what to say to her. I don't even know what to say to her. I'm like, whatever happened to asparagus and cotton?
Well, that's what I go back to your question on the sunken faces. Yes, I know. I don't want to get blasted, but yes, I know guys train hard today and they do everything hard. But I think we just suffered that little bit more back then, because even Mike would tell you, like back then, you had the magazines and supplement contracts. That's how you pretty much made your money. If you did well, you get signed by a company to keep that contract. You had to come in looking just as good. To get in the magazine or something, you had to look really good. So they were the main forms of income. The more well you did, you might get asked to do guest postings. Today, there's so many other avenues, YouTube and Instagram, they can make money. So I think that fire inside isn't as hard as it was when we were there, because we'd fight tooth and nail and come in looking our best, because our livelihood depended on it. But now someone could be like, yeah, I got 4th, but I'm making 100,000 here on YouTube every year. So I don't think that desire deep in, is there like we had it, that hunger.
One of your videos just went viral, Lee. I don't know if you saw it. It was a pose down between you and Dexter. And both of
I
you,
saw that one.
your faces and both of you were sucked in.
That was 2002 San Francisco. People like Dexter won. I said no, I won. Chris was second, and Dexter was third. And I always give Chris a hard time about that one because people are like, Lee, what did you weigh? I said, what do you think I weighed? They're like, 230. I'm like, I weighed 199. So I'd always turn to Chris and go, what did you weigh, Chris? He's like 260. I'm like, oh, you got beat by a guy under 200. He's like, fuck off.
Yeah, your conditioning was phenomenal. And it just goes back to what we're discussing right now. Your face looked like you were just like grainy.
Well, you maybe get to the point you'd be on stage and people are like, why are you smiling? I'm like, I'm not smiling. I was that dry and dehydrated.
Yeah.
I'd just be stuck like that because my mouth was so dry. It's like I couldn't swallow. It's like, and that show, they worked us so hard because I think Chris was talking about it on another podcast, how back then they'd keep you out there for 5 comparisons. That one, they had like me, Chris, they'd bring out Dexter, put Dexter back, bring out Ahmed Haider, put him back. We were out there for 7 of them. On the 6th one, Chris sort of kneeled down because he was getting tired and he had a bit of a cramp. And as he kneeled down, I'm standing up higher. I'm smiling. I'm trying to smile. My abs are cramping, but they're like, Lee, you look like it was effortless. I said, no, as soon as I saw Chris take a knee, I just made it look like it was effortless. But
also explain to everybody, Lee, that we had a completely different additional round called the symmetry round.
Oh, yeah.
We had a symmetry round. We imagine going through prejudging twice. That's what we had to do with the symmetry round. So add that to the mix.
With their faces and why they're not coming lean, I'll answer that. It is because a lot of the drugs and food. So what a lot of them are doing is they're pushing the insulin really, really hard, and everybody wants to be so full now that they're so full that it's covering up their striations in their shoulders. Yeah. Because you guys know when you get that certain gym fullness, especially like on a leg day or whatever, there's no lines in your legs. It's just so full of blood. And that's what these guys look like. And then a lot of the guys, I always have my clients drop GH usually like a week out. A lot of guys, they'll run it through the show and then they'll up the doses going into the show because it will put more water inside the muscle too. It will give them a fuller look. And then that combined with the insulin and the additional food, that's why their faces aren't looking lean, but their body is, but they don't have that feathery look through the shoulders and the chest.
Bodies
and all
aren't
the
that shredded, man.
Detail
They're not.
All that, yeah. So,
they're not.
Yeah. You guys brought up
I see all these people doing their back shots, Hadi Chupon included. From the front, he's got that incredible conditioning. Not a single one of them pulls back and has the Christmas tree. They all have that little. It's the insulin. Absolutely right. It is the insulin.
Yeah. And the top tier genetics, people got to understand. You got to understand that certain people, no matter what you do, what you take, how hard you work, you will never be as good as that person just because their genetics. No matter what, it is what it is. That
and the thing is too, I was going to say, throw the weight out the window. It's an illusion on stage. We've all seen it. Flex looked his best at 218. He looked 240. When he got to 240, he looked a bit puffy. Still looked great symmetry, but the muscle just looked smooth. And you have to understand, you might come in 5 pounds lighter, but because you can see the definition more, the cuts are deeper, on stage, you look fucking 15 pounds bigger. It's all an illusion under the lights. So you come in that little bit softer, you're going to look fatter. Come in more shredded like Clarita or someone or Labrada back in the day. It didn't matter if they were 180 or whatever. They looked just as great standing near the big guys because it's an illusion. The more shredded you get, the bigger you look. We've all seen like natural guys, they might have a shredded arm, the bicep, tricep cross-striated. Their arm measure might only be 17 inches, but when you see it, you're like, fuck, that looks 20. It's all an illusion.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, Sean Clarita is a perfect example. This guy says, is it possible in today's era to become a pro bodybuilder and compete for 25 years without having any health consequences? Well, let's address what health consequences bodybuilders have. Okay, the thing with steroids is steroids aren't going to immediately, like you're not going to take steroids and you're going to drop dead. Over time, Mike is, you can explain this well too. Over time, a lot of compounds increase your blood pressure.
Yep.
And when your blood pressure stays high for a certain amount of time, it starts damaging your kidneys.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So what these bodybuilders are not doing, and because the social media phase too, like I have a client right now, the one I was talking about before, we added more food to his diet. He looks great. He's like, well, I'm kind of feeling fat some days. I'm like, feeling fat, dude? You're 15 pounds heavier than your last show, and you're in the same condition. But online, I don't know if you can see that, but it's like, I'm like, you think you're fat and your glutes look like that. It's crazy. But it's all mental, and they have to post all these pictures on social media constantly. And if one person says, "Oh, you're looking a little softer," it messes their head up. They can't deal with it. It's not like the message boards back in the day. We would get on and read and all these things. That I know that fueled King a lot, and that didn't bother most people. It was just trolls that were trolling.
The old get big board.
I loved it. To this day, I love it. But to go to what you're saying right now, if you have a problem, if you have thin skin, get off of social media. Or if you don't want to get off of social media, the next best thing, block people. I've blocked like 10,000 people so far. I've lost count. I can go in my Instagram and check, and I'll probably make myself laugh of how many people I've blocked. You just get it out. It takes 10 seconds, and they're gone forever.
And they get upset.
They have to remake another thing and come back. It doesn't matter. Just block them and get them out of the way.
Well, Instagram, if you block someone, will block them in their other accounts. But it's so funny. I'll block people too, because if they're just repeating the same abuse, I'm like, I'm blocking you. But then when I watch Dave's show, they're like, oh, Lee says he doesn't care, but he blocked me. I'm like, yeah, because you just repeated the same shit. But they get so upset they have to announce he blocked me. It's like, fuck.
It's annoying. They're not saying anything new. They're not challenging to a debate that's about anything. They're just trolling and nonstop. It's like, it's annoying. Just block. I'm the same way. Block. I don't want this on my page, and it's like bothering me. It's just like annoying after a while. The person, these people, they thrive on negativity, and the athletes that let this stuff get to them, like, guys, you can't let this stuff get to you. Bodybuilding, if you want to be a good bodybuilder, bodybuilding is not for you if you're letting people that look like, trust me, these guys that are critiquing your physique, they have zero muscle. If they have no muscle. They never have a picture. It's a picture of a cat or a cartoon picture.
Or if they do that, they'll abuse you, saying, look at you, you bodybuilder, you shit this, shit that. Someone whose page is open, you look at it, every picture they're posing, but they look like they're in stage 4 cancer. I'm like, you're fucking talking about me and you look like that, for God's sakes. I'm like, come on. It's like, but a lot of times, too, they try and bait you because, you know me, I'll have a go back at them, but then they'll say something to me, I'll say something back, then they fucking report me and I get in trouble from Instagram.
That's the thing right there. Never, ever respond. My favorite ones are these, when they'll say something crappy about you, and then you go and see who their profile, and under their name it says, be kind to the world and be kind.
Oh yeah. Love Jesus. Jesus is Lord, and that.
You got to be kind to the world, and God is great, and you're just doing that. This just goes to show, man, it's just all nonsense.
Jesus is king, and then they're saying something horrible about
a verse from the Bible.
Mike, touch on because now, I like with me, I have all my clients check their blood pressure. I have them check their blood sugar. If you were doing that back then, Mike, you said you weren't, right, with your blood pressure. What do you think?
Go ahead.
What do you think the outcome would be differently? Would you have done things differently if you saw your blood pressure and you knew it was ruining your kidneys at that certain time? Kind of walk us through what you went through.
I went to the doctor and got my blood work done, and would get my blood pressure done, but when the readings started getting higher and higher, I basically didn't do anything about it. And from the very first time I started going to the doctor, my blood pressure would start creeping up. I don't remember how high it was, but they wouldn't give me any alternatives. They wouldn't say you should control your blood pressure with blood pressure medication. They just were like, you got to stop the steroids. And I'm like, well, I got to turn pro. I'm not going to do that. So I never had a doctor that just said, okay, you want to be a pro bodybuilder, you're going to do that. that's fine. It's my job as a doctor to take care of you. Why don't you take some lisinopril? Why don't you take some Norvasac, control your blood pressure, and you'll be a healthier, better bodybuilder on stage probably. I would have listened and take that advice, but it seemed like all the doctors I went to, and I went to several, when I would do my blood pressure, they'd be like, you got to stop. And some doctors would say, you got to stop or you're going to kill yourself. And
Mike, let me ask you a question. How come you never went to Palumbo? Were you not friends with him?
What do you mean went to Palumbo?
Like, ask him for advice, because he's a walking, he's a smart guy. He could have gone to medicine and became a doctor. I mean, my question basically is, in New Jersey, because when I moved to New York, I got to see the whole how New York and New Jersey work and stuff like that, and I saw the ins and outs of the drama and all that stuff. But Dave, to me, seems like the guy that a lot of people just went to and asked him questions and, hey, what do you think about this? Even to this day, I still contact Dave and I say, hey, Dave, I got a question about this, and what do you think? And then he'll give me his advice. I'm just curious, you never went to him to ask him, hey?
When I first met Dave, we were competitors together. So we were competing together, and I'm in South Jersey and he was way up in New York and Long Island. So when I would see him, that was a long drive, and it was usually just go up there to train and talk shop and talk about gear and stuff. And yeah, it never really kind of crossed my mind at that point to be like, hey, my blood pressure's high. Maybe I didn't know his education level at that point. At my mindset, when I was friends with him and talking with him and competing with him, I was just kind of doing my own thing. I guess to answer your question, I didn't know how educated he was at the time.
Got it.
But I don't know what advice you could have gave me other than, just what the doctors could have told me. But it just never really came up for me to say, my blood pressure was high. But I really wish somebody would have kind of stepped in and said that. And I'm sure a lot of people did. Maybe some people did say you should take some blood pressure medication. But in my mind, I was like, the blood pressure medication is probably going to affect my training. It's probably going to drop water out of my body. A lot of doctors would want to prescribe Lasix and certain diuretics. And I'm like, I can't take diuretics. I'm going to take diuretics for a show and things. You know what I mean? So I just kind of, I guess at some point discredited, whatever doctors were saying, you should take Lasix. But I guess it was never explained to me or taught to me at the time that there's blood pressure medication you can take that won't affect your training or your prep at all. So
absolutely, there's so many people that have clients myself that they're on telmisartan. That's a great blood pressure medicine that is not going to give you any muscular side effects. There's Nabivital, which protects the heart. That's a great medication also. Those two medications are great for bodybuilders.
On the other side of that, there's also beta blockers, and my dad took beta blockers before. So my experience with and my dad was a marathon runner. So he said when he took beta blockers, he said he couldn't get off the bed, So again, that was another reason in my head where I'm like, I'm not taking Lasix. I'm not taking beta blockers. I got to train, So I was like, that's going to hamper my career, not help it. But I mean, that's one of the things I'm trying to preach to people now. Controlling your blood pressure is going to help your career. It's not going to hinder it whatsoever. It's going to help it.
A lot. The ones that make you feel like shit are the statins. Statins are the one that will make your muscles ache, makes you have bone pain and all that kind of stuff. And there's some natural stuff that you can do other than. And then the doctor King, the doctor we had on, whatever, a month ago or so, we spoke on that briefly. And there's other stuff you can do than take these statins. And there's been a lot of reports on these statins. People don't understand. Statins can cause kidney damage too. So they might be like, oh, they're helping lower my cholesterol and promoting my good cholesterol, but they're also damaging your kidneys at the same time. So statins are really nasty, and those are the ones that usually make people feel really bad.
And also find a good doctor too, because sometimes, like I said, if you go to a general doctor, just if you never took steroids and you're a guy training, eating lots of protein and how hard you train, the muscle breaks down, they can get readings back and go, oh my God, you're going to go into kidney failure, just because different levels are high. So like me, I get my heart done every year. And last heart check I had the CT and all that. They're like, oh, you're in fractions like 47%, 52 to 55 is considered normal. And I'm thinking, fuck, why is it down to 47? I'm thinking, oh shit, something's going on, this and that. Yeah, we all have, pretty much anyone that trains, any athlete, they have like athlete's heart, you have a bit of an enlarged heart, but over like the last 15 years, they always measure it, hasn't changed. So when I was in Rome, just this last 2 weeks ago, I went to one of the top cardiologists there, sports cardiologist. He says, Lee, I'm a fan of yours, come in. He did all the tests, and as he's looking at the scans and he's sitting there shaking his head, I'm like laying there going, oh, fuck, why is he shaking his head? And he's like, he goes, I don't see a problem. He's like, normally, you have your 4 ventricles and the bottom left one, he said, how it's meant to be like that, it pumps up into this one. He goes, people who've been training as long as you're using gear, instead of being like oval, it's more up like that. It's very small and barely pumps. He goes, your heart looks like a 30-year-old and looks like you've barely done any gear and stuff. He goes, you're over 55%. He goes, I don't know why your doctor in Australia told you 47 and that. So it's always good to get a good doctor who knows what he's talking about when you're going to get these tests, because when I get the 47 back, I'm like, oh shit, any chest pain I did chest and I'm like, I'm a bit sore. Well, fuck, is that my heart or is it muscle soreness now? You start playing these fucking head games. It's like, fuck.
Well, the doctors say, the doctors don't tell people, and it's really important to get your heart checked up and all that. And people with like your ejection fraction was okay and all that, but it gets to a point where a lot of this stuff, it's genetics, guys. Like your parents passed on genetics to you you have heart disease. That's why when you fill out papers, does cancer run in your family? Does heart disease run in your family? Because those genetics are passed down. I'll tell you, just from a year ago, I had all my scans done. Just to do my recent scans, and my calcium score, cholesterol blockages went up. But what did I do differently for the past year? I went and had the hair transplant, then my back procedure. So while I was out of the gym for months at a time, I was just eating like an asshole. I was eating like literally burgers and fries all throughout the day, gyros and fries, ice cream, and that affected my health just in 1 year and my calcium score, and it brought up that plaque. And so now I cut back and I started eating healthy again. So a lot of us bodybuilders, we got away with eating a lot of junk food and still being able to stay in shape, especially
never.
But when you get to a certain age,
fried chicken, I still think of you, Lee.
That's one thing my doctor told me.
I'm like, wait, Lee Priest is eating fried chicken. I'm gonna eat some fried chicken.
The doctor in Rome said that. He's like, Lee, I hate to tell you, he goes, you got a little bit of plaque here, but he goes, with a change in your diet and that we can reverse this. I'm like, what do you mean changing my diet? He goes, I know what you eat, Lee. I said, oh, fuck. I said, you didn't have to tell me that. So now my friend owns a big gym in that, he texts me every day. How's the diet going, Lee? How's the diet going? I said, oh, well, I'm not dieting. I've eaten clean. And this last week and a half, I've dropped 2.5 kilos. So I said, I'm doing it okay. I'm not eating as much bad food, okay? I've got to gradually.
Yeah. And what a lot of people don't understand is, like things like something like Anavar, which is very mild. And a lot of people stay on that year round, especially the guys wanting to look good. Things like Anavar, that wrecks your lipids. Okay. So it messes up your good cholesterol and increases, messes up your bad cholesterol, your triglycerides. So just even taking Anavar for long periods of time messes that up dramatically. So when people need to come off, you got to come off everything. It's fine. You can stay on a TRT shot a week. That's fine. But when people do these bridges, or the people don't
blast and cruise.
Their cruise is still most people cycle. You got 500 milligrams of testosterone, primobolan, Anavar, something else in there. It's just like, just because you're not taking the amount you're taking like you would, 6 weeks before a show, it's still, your organs are constantly under pressure. Your blood pressure, your heart, your kidneys, they're constantly having to work. When you come off, and people have this thing mentally, oh my gosh, listen, it takes, weeks for a lot of these compounds to stop, even working. Like let's say testosterone cypionate, for instance, you'll see, oh, I haven't taken a shot in a week, I feel so terrible. That's still in your system for several weeks. And so clean out for about 6 weeks at least, take nothing or take a shot of test a week or whatever, and at least come off a little bit of time. These guys, what's happening, their blood pressure's staying too high for too long, and they're not wanting to check it. My friend the other day, he messaged me. I used to coach him. I can't coach him anymore because he has coach after coach. He doesn't listen. And actually, Chad's coaching him right now, and he sent me his blood pressure. And I'm like, dude, that's really bad. And I'm like, you need to tell Chad that's your blood pressure, so you guys can adjust some stuff and get that down. there's no reason for you to be that heavy, because when you get on stage, that's not, you don't understand that weight that you're carrying does not equal muscle. When you strip all the way that weight down, you're probably going to have to lose about 70 pounds just to be in contest shape. And a lot of people
even look at young kids now too. I know back in the day, I said I did trend 4 times. The last time I did it, my chest got that tight, I thought I was going to die. I never did it again. And we'd only probably use that the last 2 weeks or so before a show, you know, to try dial yourself in that little bit better. But the amount of young kids now that are on trend all year round and the amounts they take is fucking mind-blowing. It's all you see them talk about on the message boards. Trend. I'm thinking, and then you read, when I'm on it, I can't sleep, I can't eat, I'm irritable, I'm thinking, why are you taking a drug that makes you feel that fucking bad just because everybody else has taken it? That's crazy.
They use it in the off season now too. Like usually it's a pre-contest drug. You start 6 to 8 weeks out. They're using all through the off season. I'm like, that makes no sense at all. Well, it makes me look better. And I thought, of course you're going to look better. You're on, you know how toxic that is. And this guy's got to come off. And, Mike,
I think it's a strength thing. I think they're digging the strength. They take the trend and their strength goes through the roof. I see it in the gym all the time. I see how, these kids are getting there 315, 405 on the bench. And I'm like, okay. And then they get up and their back looks like a snake's skin. It's scaly from the zits. But it is, listen, when you're idolizing a kid like Sam Sulek, who has all these issues, who looks like he hasn't taken a shower in about a week when he goes into the gym. That's how they all look like to me in the gym, with the fucked up hair and the hats down on their faces, and these dumpy clothes that smell. I'm like, okay, that's what you guys want to do? I go back to my hot
shirts off posing. Shirts off posing in the main gym. I'm thinking, fuck, even as a pro, I didn't do that unless I was doing a photo shoot or a week out from a show. You get to that magic light at Gold's Gym near the mirror there and have a look at how you look. But these young kids are stripping down in the gym. I'm thinking, what the fuck are you looking at?
Lee, I'd go back to our hot skin singlets, puffy socks, and Reebok high tops.
The unitard
place anywhere, man.
The nice striped unitard, all in one unitard.
Loved it. I had 50 of those. I had 50 of those.
This guy says, Armon, you have kidney problems as well, right? No, I don't have kidney problems at all. When I was young, I always had blood in my urine. You couldn't see the blood in my urine, but ever since I was like 5 years old, when I did my urine, they always had microscopic like blood in there, and then they never knew where it was coming from. I did scopes, and then I did a scope when I was even 20. They put a camera down my your penis hole and go all and look all the way through your bladder, and you're awake during the time. You're awake during the time, and they're like just monitor it and all that.
Sounds like foreplay.
That shit hurt. I even took a couple of Xanax before I went, and they're like, okay, it's about to go through the process. It's gonna hurt. But I was like, oh no, it was painful. But no, I do not have any kidney problems whatsoever. So.
But even if he did, that's why he can talk about it, because he's trying to educate you people so you don't have fucking the same issues.
People just make up stuff out of nowhere. Boston Outlaw does have a
family, wife, and a kid.
Oh, I never knew that because he's always like alone traveling everywhere.
His daughter's older though too, because I think he was buying his daughter a car, so they're not like young kids. I think she's older.
Okay, nothing against the guy. I'm just saying he took on too many clients. And when you do that, you can't.
We're not putting anybody down. No. Let me clarify this real quick.
Right.
So I can see these people starting to come in and do this bullshit. We're not putting anybody down. We're talking facts. Yeah. The last few shows, his athletes were off. Okay, Martin was supposed to come in and destroy, and oh my God, Martin's going to show everything. He looked like he was 4 weeks out. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking reality here.
And it's like I said, to try something new, sadly, with bodybuilding, you got to try it in those last few days where you're going to say, okay, Martin, let's try a few more carbs in you. Sadly, in this sport, you got to see how it works. And if it doesn't work, your placings aren't as good. That's why I always preferred, when I did it myself, I'd be ready 2 weeks out, do my photo shoots then. And if I was looking good then, that's when I'd experiment with, I might add a few more carbs. I never went lower than 250, but I might add a bit more and see how it affected me a week or two away from the show. When you're doing it right up to the day of the show and you're doing it then, that's when it's hit or miss. So sadly, like I said, Martin come in that little bit off. Now boss of Outlaw will be, okay, we're not going to do that. And he'll go back to his notes and change it. Hopefully when he changes it, it'll bring him in better. But then again, if he changes it to something different again, you might get the same result. Like I said, it's all this experiment.
The experiment and the mentality, like you said, everybody wants to be full nowadays. I got a guy that I'm prepping for. He doesn't want me to say it. Let's just say he's 2.5 weeks out. Could be the Dubai Pro. That's just going to be, could be. He's the next Hadi Chupon. He is a freak, this kid. I'm talking, his legs are bigger than Hadi's. He's getting Hadi-ish. Okay, and it's very close. The physiques are very similar. Hadi's a little bit better taper, but we're working on that too. The first thing he said to me is, "Are we doing insulin?" I'm like, "Absolutely not. You're going to kill these guys with conditioning. Forget it." But it's embedded in his head because that's how the new generation thinks. Fullness, fullness, fullness.
Yeah. And that's the best way. If you're looking great, that's one of the best ways to mess you up and spill over is to use insulin when you don't need it at all. You know, and a lot of people think
steak and rice, brother. Steak and rice.
But it's like King said too. It's
steak and rice.
Yeah, and it's all in the head too, because like I said, we've seen people all the time. Dennis James was one for it. 2 weeks out, it looks like he could win the Olympia, and for some reason we all think that last week we have to do something. No, you don't. It's all in the mind. It's like, yeah, I've been looking this way for so long. I'm full, I'm shredded, I'm vascular. But the last week, I need to change something. Maybe if I add this, drop this. It's like, if you're looking great, like the only thing I did the last week was drop my water, tan up and pump up. My eating stayed the same. I trained even up to Friday if the show was Saturday, but the training on Friday was just like a circuit light pump because I can't sit around and do nothing. I've been doing it for the last 15, 16 weeks. Nothing changed on me. The only thing that changed, like I said, was dropping water, tan up and get on stage. I never changed my food drastically or anything stupid like that. And that's where I think these people just think that last week I need to do something. Remember, sadly, Paul, before that Olympia, the Arnold that he cramped up, the week before that at the Arnold, he was like the best I've seen him, paper thin skin. And even at the Arnold, he's like, I got to do something. I got to get a little bit harder. I'm like, Paul, you're fucking as hard as it gets. So, Romano gave him that 40 milligram injectable Lasix, and that was the end of the show. So
Romano gave it to him?
Yeah, Romano gave it to him.
I didn't know that.
John wouldn't say it. Please explain to them about the because King, I think King and Mike don't know about our friend Patrick Moore, what he claimed about how he got in shape within a week.
Oh, yeah, I was doing that show with John. I didn't know, but then John brought it up on Serious and Stillness. He said the last 5 days he dropped 15 pounds because he did 32 gym sessions. And everyone's trying to work out how he did 32 gym sessions in 5 days with traveling from Texas to wherever the contest was and back again. So I'm thinking maybe he trained 5 clients a day because he said he was going to the gym 5 or 6 times a day, 32 sessions in the 5 days and dropped 15 pounds. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that sounds off.
I said people were just talking. We were talking about that day. People just lie for no reason all the time about whatever. We all know those type of people. We listen to the stories like, yeah, okay. There's make some wild stuff, wild things up. What's up, guys? Lee has a breakfast of champions diet. We were lucky back in the 80s to have the French Parabolin just 1 every 3 days was the rocket fuel. 1 every 3 days was plenty. Yeah, they still, there's companies that still make the Parabolin amps at like the 76 milligrams or whatever. It's not the same as that one, but a lot of people respond better to that than the Ace. I know the Trent Ace, a lot of people, since it's fast acting, they have a harder time controlling their mood swings on it. So if you have that issue, it's better to do a slow acting.
For me, the two God gears from the back in the day were one suspension test. You mix with B12 and you got that beautiful pink cocktail. And number 2 was Syntex Anadrol.
I was going to say one Anadrol a day.
Bottle,
one Anadrol.
Brown bottle. You opened it
still
up.
Have a bottle of
smell
that.
Of a pharmacy.
Downstairs.
Those were the best.
Yeah.
Apart from my stomach, apart from not feeling like eating, Anadrol used to keep me. So I'd take it, Anadrol or D-Bol. I'd always take the last 3 weeks before a show because it kept me so full. But just the appetite just would go away, and you just felt.
Yeah, Anadrol is great for fullness. A lot of people, you could just give it to people even 2 days before the show, and it can increase their fullness. Mike, what's your diet like now? You're still in great shape.
I eat 3 times a day. I'm pretty scheduled with my diet. I eat at 9 a.m., noon, and then I come home and make dinner and usually eat about 5:30. My first meal is usually about 2 eggs and some fruit, sometimes some nuts. I drink water all day long, probably about 2 gallons a day. Lunchtime, like the chicken, little rice, maybe some more fruit. And then usually when I come home and make dinner, I might make some pasta, maybe some meatballs, but basically just clean food. I make all my own food. I don't eat anything out of a box, no soda. I'm not going to say we don't enjoy cake or pie, or on the weekends, I like to go out to eat with my wife, and we'll go, maybe get pizza, maybe get a cheesesteak. But I try to stay real scheduled with my diet and real clean with my diet. Good, clean, whole, pure foods.
Good for you.
I'm exactly the same. No cake or anything for me.
Lee, how do you eat now, Lee? You eat what? You eat a lot of like fun food still, right?
Maybe. I eat fruit cake, Armon, because it's got fruit in it. Okay.
When you eat clean most of the week, when you do have a cheat meal, it tastes that much better.
Oh, it does, yeah. Well, like I said, I'm pretty much the same. Like I make jokes. I go to McDonald's in the morning every day after the gym because it's right there. But I go in there and I get like 6 or 7 eggs because they will just give you the eggs. So I get like 6 eggs and just the muffin by itself. So, when I say go to McDonald's, people think, oh, he's eating Big Macs for breakfast and stuff. I'm just getting eggs from there because it's right near the gym. Then I'll go home. And generally, when I get home, I might just have 2 hours later, just a couple of eggs and some wholemeal toast and maybe a small piece of steak. But then, like I said, I don't eat big meals, and I'm similar to Mike. I might only have 2 to 3 meals a day sometimes, but then in between, I might just grab a little non-fat yogurt and a banana or something. So, but then, yes, if I have the odd occasion, I'll be at the store. I'm like, fuck, the chocolates are on sale. Ignore it. No, get them. No, don't. Get them. So occasionally I do grab a bit of a cake or something, or some muffins, or I try and go to the healthier ice cream. But then I look at it, I'm like, I get a tub like this in Australia, protein ice cream, 0 fat sugar. It's like $12. Or I can get the normal ice cream, 2 liters for $5.
Well, all those sugar alcohols destroy your stomach, so you're like farting and bloated and gas.
Got the runs, got diarrhea.
Oh yeah, those are awful. Yeah, King, King still eats like a bodybuilder though. He you eat 6, 7 meals a day.
7 to 8 meals a day. Yeah. See, but that's because I'm not. The crazy thing is that that's just what I'm used to.
Yeah.
What I do is it has not changed, and it's been the same. When I finish eating, I look at the clock. Let's say I finish eating at 8 a.m. Okay, 2.5 hours later, I eat again. So I'm like, okay, at 10:30, I'm going to eat again. And then what I do now, though, is I enjoy myself. So I eat a lot of sushi. I eat a lot of egg whites, a ton of egg whites every day. And then every once in a while, I'll go and I'll get myself one of these shakes. I just had a lean body right now when we were talking. So it's my appetite. I can't help it. I'm hungry.
I also have I have 2 meal preps. One's Mitch's Meals and Papa Macros. So I have to thank them lately because they'll send me a box at the beginning of the week. So I do have about 25 prepared all healthy meals in the fridge that I've been using. So if I have them, that keeps me more on the straight and narrow because I know they're there to eat. If I don't have it, that's when I'm like, do I really want to cook? Fuck it. Uber Eats fried chicken. I'll get something.
That's one of the things you're enjoying about my retirement is not having to eat the same schedule and the same amount of meals as when I was competing, because I was eating 7, 8 times a day. Just like King was saying, you eat at noon, like your next meal is coming 2 o'clock. So that's one of the things I'm just really enjoying is I'll eat my first meal and then, it's nice to not have to be constantly thinking about food, constantly prepping your food, constantly, where am I going to get my next meal? Because there might be some days where something happens in my work schedule, or just I'm just not hungry, and I'm like, I'll just cruise right through, and then I'll eat dinner.
Yeah.
So
I'm the same.
There are some foods that I
that's
cannot
what I was
even
saying.
look at anymore. Like, I don't know if you guys are the same. I can't look at a sweet potato. It makes me want to vomit when I look at a sweet potato.
I can't cook chicken breast.
Yeah,
I can't cook plain
potatoed Outback. They're pretty good.
chicken breast.
Maybe a can of
chicken
tuna.
breast.
Maybe not a can of tuna out of the can like old days.
If I try cook chicken breast or anything, just the smell of it, I'm like, oh, it's like, I'll get rotisserie chicken and maybe take the skin off. But I'm the same as Mike. Sometimes, like I said, I try and have 2 or 3 meals. But then if I get busy doing something, I could go 7 hours without a meal. I'll just and then if I get a bit hungry, I'll go pick at something. So, yeah, I just hated it. Like I said, contest time and that was so regimented. Eat this at that time, eat this. Now I'm just happy to eat what I want, try keep it healthy, but eat when I feel like eating, not because I have to eat.
I think, most bodybuilders, when they retire, that's the first thing they enjoy is not having to eat all that food. I know Jay and all those guys, most people eat. And I used to talk to, when I was younger, a lot of my friends that retired. I'm like, how do you stay that size eating 3 meals a day? Now I know because I'm older now. But I think, King, you're hungry. So you eat when you're hungry. So, and you're eating clean
force
food.
feeding myself. I never force feed. And if I get to a point where I'm, it's time for me to eat and I'm not hungry, I don't eat, but I replace it with like 1 serving of essentials or branched chain aminos and 16 ounces of water. It's just a mental thing. And another reason why I do this now with the food is because I'm not taking any androgens, any GH, any peptides, any insulin. I don't do any of that. So for me, it's like, okay, I can compensate by having food instead of doing that stuff. Because a lot of people that I know right now will eat 1 or twice, but they're hammering this stuff still. No, I would never do that.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna shoot off for a second. My friend just opened his coffee shop. I'm going to grab a coffee.
You're good.
Want anything? Of course, you're watching me. He has nice banana bread, but I'm not going to get any now. That's made of bananas. It's healthy.
Are pre-workouts a waste of money? No, I don't think so at all. We have our pre-workouts. We have several. We have pump products. I'm not a fan of high stem pre-workouts. This is our new high stem. It's called Wicked Force. This stuff makes you feel like you're on like Adderall. It makes you like out of your mind, but you don't get a crash.
Like you just did a bump.
Yeah. I don't like stimulants, so I don't take this, but people love this stuff. We have our Wicked Force, which is a pump product, no stem at all. We have glycerol pump serum. A lot of people sell glycerol out there, which is great, but they don't, like other companies, they sell it for like $50. We put pump products in our glycerol too. And then we also have our pump gummies also. Is it going to give you the same pump as the powder? No, but they're really tasty. We got the taste out.
The glycerol was pretty popular for a while backstage before stepping out on stage. I remember a lot of people used to do that.
It's really popular back in the day, and it's become more popular again because it does work. You just have to do enough water with it. And then, like I said, a lot of the companies, they're selling plain glycerol like for $50, and that's all they have in it. We have several pump products in there too. So that's the way, you know what
my pre-workout pump is, my friend?
A banana,
and I cover it with honey, and I eat it. I'm telling you, for me, it gives me a pump. It gives me energy, and I feel great during the entire workout. And I'm not. And people always say, "Whoa, what about?" I'm like getting ready for show.
Yeah,
I don't care. I'm doing what works for me.
I like the pump products too that we make because it's also good for your heart health, in your blood flow and all that. So it's actually healthy for you. But the high stem ones, I always tell people like we sell that, but I would only take that maybe 2 times a week if you're taking it, 2 or 3. You can't take that, every single day. And Mike, I know you jumped on After Hours a couple of days ago. I didn't make it that day. I was still at the doctor giving blood, but we touched on opiates and all that. And I wanted to address the whole, again, I talk about it all the time, but I still get messages pouring in and again. How do I get off? Because the kratom and especially the strain, the 7 hydro, which is the extract from the kratom that's really strong. They put in the when I say shots, these shots that you take a shot of, and they put them in the pills too. And that's actually stronger than morphine and hydrocodone. So you got all these bodybuilders now that this stuff is way stronger than Nubane. Nubane is like this compared to the stuff the guys are on now. And I know several of the top guys now in the world that are addicted to these extracts. I'm not going to name their names, but there's a company out there and they're sponsoring shows, a show in Texas we had recently, and the goodie bags, you're getting this, they're handing this stuff out. Hey, it's great if you're trying to come off opiates, like the hard stuff, Dilaudid, oxys, heroin, whatever. But if you're just trying to just start something like a supplement, like it's good for you, no, that's not a supplement that you need to take regularly. If you have an injury, if you take it once or twice a week, great. But that's the problem. It makes you feel so good. It's just like Nubane. You're like, okay, you remember how Nubane was. Oh, I'm just going to take it before legs. Then I'm going to take it after legs. Now I need it before bed, after bed. Now you're taking a shot every single hour throughout the day. And I think, the Kratom and the 7 Hydro is getting really, really out of control. And there's a lot of people in the dark because when people message me, they feel like they don't have anybody to talk to because they feel embarrassed because they're addicted to something. And we know how addiction feels like, Mike. You don't know who to talk to. You can't get off of it. You look in the mirror and you're frustrated at yourself because you've done all these other things that are hard in life, but you can't get off this stuff. And that's how addiction, it hijacks your brain. And I always explain to people, opiates, it's like a tree branch. You start taking some, and it's like it grows and grows and grows, and you have to feed it more and more, and your tolerance becomes very, very high. And I always tell these people, like, you have to have a support system. Tell your friends, tell your loved ones, and don't come off this stuff cold turkey. You got to taper, right? You want to talk a little bit about that, Mike?
Yeah, because I've done both. I've come off cold turkey, and that was usually the way I would do it, where I would just kind of stop and white knuckle it. And but I have tapered before. But just like that tree branch you're talking to, there's been times where I would come off of whatever opiates I was taking for a period of time, and then, like, I don't know how much time would go by, but I'd be like, well, I kicked it. I came off of that, so I'm in control of that. And then something would happen down the road where I would just try it again. And then all of a sudden I realized now I'm back on again. Now I'm like, did a pill on Saturday, and now it's bleeding all into the next week. And there were, like I said, I started my painkillers, I think, somewhere right before I turned pro. So from right before I turned pro, for that 5-year period or 6-year period where I did it was always a Showtime that would make me come off of the painkillers. And so now I'm getting into my diet, I'm getting into the contest prep, and I was like, I gotta get this out of my system, because I was still aware, like, Nubane, Oxycontin, Percocet, like, this is not helping me. Just like you were saying, I was taking it to feel good, basically. Like, I liked the way it made me feel. But once I got in the contest mode, I was like, let me get this out, and I would suffer through it, do the competition, compete, and then after the competition was over, you know how it is. All the stress is off. You're done your show. You're back home. You go back into your off-season training, and then that itch would just kind of come around. And then it's a tough thing. It's a really tough thing. For me, it was God. For me, it was prayer that helped me. But it was also the discipline and the sacrifice I learned through bodybuilding. I had to apply all that to help come off. And it's a really terrible thing. But you brought up some really good points about you need a support system. You need to tell people what you're doing, because I have some friends and stuff that are on it, and they got a girlfriend. The girlfriends don't even know they're on stuff, or maybe, they don't want to involve. I was like, if you're going to try to come off, you got to tell your girlfriend or your wife or whoever, because they're going to notice the changes is in you when you start going through withdrawal. You think you're hiding it, but they're going to be like, what is going on with you? So you have to have a support system to tell them, like, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to come off. This is my plan. I'm going to get grumpy. It's going to be tough. I need you there for me, especially when I'm weak. And so prayer and having a good support system, and it's going to be hard work. I mean, just like anybody that comes to me and says, oh, I want to turn pro, and you start training. I was like, okay, well, this is hard. This is going to be really hard. And got to take that same attitude if you want to get off of painkillers or any kind of drug that you're addicted to.
I know the old Oxycontin, because I never even used that until I had my 2 neck operations from a car accident in 2015. Of course, the doctor's given it to me. I'm taking it. He's 40, take 80 at night, take this. And after a while, I'm like, I think the pain's gone now, so I might stop taking it. I've been on it for like 3 months. As soon as I stopped cold turkey, well, the body had other ideas. So I straight away that day, I called up this hospital. I put myself into detox for 2.5 weeks and never touched it since. But I do those videos for Sam's Fitness, and I used to go to Sydney and do these things. And I did it once when I must have been on the Oxycontin, and it put in the title Leon Pain Meds. And I never watched it before, and I watched it like a couple of years ago, and I'm like, I'm thinking, holy fuck, it looks like I'm drunk as fuck. And I'm thinking, how did I drive 2 hours from my place to Sydney through traffic and home in that fucking condition where it looks like I'm off my fucking tree? But I got to the point where, I'm not sure about you, Mike, but I didn't want to do anything. I want to go to the gym. I get to the gym, 10 minutes, I go home. It's a beautiful day outside. I don't want to go out. I just turn the lights on inside. How much food do I have? I don't feel like going to the grocery store. That'll do me another day. I just became like a fucking zombie to the point where I just, like I said, I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to go anywhere, lethargic. Yeah, I said I was lucky. I never did new pain or that, because I was always a believer in, like, I never even did cortisone, because I believed in, like, as long as I can feel the pain, I know where my limit is. If I push it, something, okay, it's hurting, I'll stop. Where I had friends that would take all that shit, I'm not feeling pain, then when it wore off, they'd done more damage than what they would have done. So,
oh yeah, the withdrawals, especially. I was on a very long time, and I did numerous detoxes, and the doctors didn't tell me either. They put you on all this stuff. I was put on oxycodone, Dilaudid, and fentanyl patches by this one doctor all at once, and I was on that for months. And then when I tried to come off, I was, you're literally on the floor vomiting, shitting yourself. And all that.
I remember laying in that fetal position, freezing cold, just fucking, you can't stop shaking and fucking up.
I think Oxycontin was
I think kratom is a great tool for coming off of opiates, or if you're in chronic pain. There's no point. I always tell people there's no point to be in chronic pain all the time. It affects your quality of life. So if you can take kratom a couple times a day responsibly, that's great. But these guys aren't doing that now. They're getting, especially the extracts. The extracts are very, very different, because they're taking the strongest of the kratom and they're extracting that. And when you take the shot of that, I mean, when it's stronger, that it's proven it's stronger than morphine and hydrocodone. That high and that feeling, and I know a person now that
right now I've had a pinched sciatic nerve since December. Normally it would come and go, but it's been there since December. I haven't taken anything for it, but I think I have to go get a scan, because, like you said, that chronic pain, like during the day, if I'm moving, it's not too bad. Sleeping at night, it's like a knife going in. It goes down my leg to my foot. My foot goes numb. And like you said, it's just that irritable pain that's constantly there. It just makes you irritable and cranky some days. You're like, fuck, just go away. It's like, I feel like some days getting a knife and just sticking a knife in it, because I'm just sick of that sciatic pain going down my leg. But I had that kratom from the company Guy used to be with and be into, and it was like, I think he still is, but like I said, just taking a little bit of that would make you just that pain go away, but you wouldn't feel out of it. But right now, I went to this place over here, and they have like some CBD oil and that. So at night time, I take a bit of CBD oil and that. It'll take the edge off it, but like I said, it's still that shitty feeling. If I'm standing up training, I got to lean more to one side, and I'm compensated more for it now. So it's, like I said, that chronic pain's a fucking shit thing to have anywhere.
Yeah, that chronic pain, and I deal with it, constantly. I do even the stem cell for it and all that. But people in chronic pain, there's a very high suicide rate, because it's like you don't get relief ever. It's like all throughout the day. It's like, oh my gosh, just for like 10 minutes, I want this to go away. And
that's always on your mind, eating at you, like you said. You just sit there getting angry, like, and then even, like I said, you don't mean to, but even if people are around you, someone asks you a question, you're like, what? It's almost like you're just on edge all the time.
It's the price we pay. It's the price we pay for the brutality that we put ourselves in. It's almost any sport. Any sport you think of, you're when you're at your peak, you're God, and then later on, Father Time catches up to you, and you got to be smart.
How many times should we have listened to that old guy in the gym that said, when you get to my age, you're going to hurt? You're like, oh, fuck off. That won't happen to me.
It all catches up to you.
What I hate more than anything else in the gym is when they call me sir. And every time I hear it, I kind of like do this. I'm like, all right, no problem. Yeah, whatever. Don't call me sir, please.
I even hate when they go, Mr. Priest. I'm like, just call me Lee or call me Dick. Just call me Dickhead or something. Don't call me Mr. Priest. I'm like, because I'm not that official. I'm not that official. Don't call me Mr. Priest.
All that pain does catch up with you. You know, like most people have herniated disc in their back. They just don't know it because they're non-symptomatic. But when they are symptomatic, and a herniated disc, what people don't know is it's like a jelly-filled donut. And when that jelly-filled donut gets compressed, it starts, the jelly comes out and it sits on a nerve. And that causes the most excruciating pain. Wherever disc gets added affects certain things. Like I'm
trying to eat clean. Can you stop using food comparisons when you're talking like this? Now I'm going to go get a jelly donut.
The Krispy Kreme. But yeah, that's how I feel about all that. And I wanted to touch on that because a lot of people are in they just don't know what to do. And this guy, the one that was really been contacting me, and I told him kind of what I said. I'm not a doctor, and these doctors you can't listen to anyways. You need to do your own research. But
even be careful. Be careful too, even over the counter, because I think didn't Tom Prince? He started fucking up his kidneys and that from taking Tylenol and Advil. Yeah, so you got to even these over the counter shit. You abuse that, you can run into fucking problems too.
Yeah, I think he told me he was taking like I forget the exact number, 20 or 30 a day. And there was a time during my training where I was taking 3 or 4 Advil before training and after training, because it just seemed like I would take that and then I would just feel better when I was training.
Yeah.
So it kind of became part of the routine, and then I didn't realize I'm taking 1,600 milligrams of Advil every day.
Yeah. And mentally too, you're like, it's over the counter, it can't be bad. You can just walk in and buy it. So
yeah, that's true.
It's worse for you. I mean, a lot of and the problem with a lot of those things like Advil and SADs, they're anti-inflammatory. So when you're working out, you inflame the muscle. You take that stuff, daily in high doses after your workout, you're hindering muscle growth. It's been proven that taking, the NSAIDs, it hinders muscle growth taken over a long period of time, and on a daily basis. All right, so what other shows are coming up, guys? I know the last couple of shows we had Tony on.
Well, you got Canada and that. Canada isn't that coming, and then China. But I'm actually looking forward to the Dubai one with Beirut and
right.
Who else is doing that?
Rubio, I think.
Nathan. I think Nathan's doing it too.
Nathan,
so Nathan. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm hoping Sass does good in Canada, because he's always got seconds and thirds. I want to see him qualify for the Olympia, and plus because I looked at his page the other day and he said that he liked me because of my training style. So I hope he do good, Sass.
This guy says, in your opinion, for longevity and health, what's the best way to structure a workout regimen just for functionality, strong, not big and bulky? You got to understand, it's not easy. You're not going to wake up and be like, oh my gosh, I'm big and bulky. It doesn't happen that way. It's very hard to put on size. So unless you're, hammering the calories and getting in all the food, you could work out however you want to. You're not going to accidentally get big.
No. I've always found though the best thing for me, like later on, I learned it pretty quick because I trained with Tom Platz a lot, is listen to your body. Like I could go weeks where I feel super strong, I'd go super heavy, but then you go, you know what, I'm just not feeling it today. It's okay to back off a bit. You're not going to get smaller. You don't have to pound it all the time, because I'd see young kids. Well, actually, one kid hurt himself. He was benching 3 plates, and then he benched 3 plates. And then one day he's like, Lee, I'm going to do this. Can you spot me? And that I'm like, and he was struggling on 2. And I said, are you just warming up? So he goes, yeah. I said, well, just stick to that. No, I do 3. I got to do 3. I said, but you're struggling on the 2 plates now. Maybe you haven't eaten enough, you haven't rested. Your body's trying to tell you something. If you're struggling with 2, don't go putting another one on. I will. So I walked away and he had someone else spot him. And then I see him get up. He's like, I think I pulled something. I'm like, listen to your body. Your body's telling you. Listen to it. Like I said, because I'll always be the same. I think we get into that. You have to go heavy all the time to keep the mass. You got to go heavy to get bigger. If you have those days where I said, if I was warming up and it didn't feel right, I'd go pre-exhaust the muscle first, change the order in which I'd done them. So listen to your body, and it'll help you in the long run if you listen.
Think outside the box, dude. Last week,
don't listen to your ego. Let your ego go.
Last week I put on the cleats. I went and I found there's a hill near the house, and I did sprints up the hill. Okay, I go full blast as much as I can up to the hill, and I come back down and control. My legs were destroyed for 5 days. Destroyed for 5 days. Worse than any pain of squats and leg presses and packs you can imagine. You know why? I hit different angles, and I thought out of the box. And guess what I'm doing again Saturday? Same thing. Go back to the hill, put the cleats on, and sprint up that hill.
Since we're getting I've been preaching sprints to a lot of people lately. I just started doing sprints every Saturday for fitness and for health. But I think people miss the fact that sprinting and running is a great defense mechanism. You might be in a situation where there might be some kind of event or, something, and just being able to, at a moment's notice, run fast, that's a good thing to have. So
most bodybuilders take off and go, "Oh fuck, my hammy, my hammy." The other thing too, when you watch the Olympic game, you watch the Olympic Games, those fucking cyclists that sprint, the ice skaters that speed skate, and the short distance and sprinters, you seen the quads on those fuckers?
They look great.
Marathoners look like they're speed skaters and their outer sweeps. My God.
Oh my God. Who's that one main guy? Who's that one main guy? He's a top speed skater. He's got legs like DeMayo used to have. Like fucking quads are fucking crazy.
That explosive out motion like this, it builds the sweeps. Guys, one thing that we got to talk about, since Lee brought up the Dubai Pro, your boy Trump yesterday put Iran on the banned list. I don't care what Palumbo said when he said that there's exemption for sports.
Athletes,
No. People, stop. They're kicking out 4-year-old citizens, here in the United States. Trump's administration is not fucking around. I'm telling you, this is going to make things impossible, for Belarus and for Hadi. It's going to make things impossible.
I think, because I think Dave and them were trying to say, well, Hadi's been here before. He should get accepted to come back in. I think if they looked at an individual case individually, he might get lucky. But I think sometimes they put a blanket ban, and once they see your application, boom, gone.
The only chance, in my opinion, that Hadi, and especially Hadi, has is if he has any type of connections with RFK, because RFK is a fan of bodybuilding and he's into that whole thing. If RFK can get in the head of what's his name, the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, then there might be a chance for these guys. But other than that, Lee's right, man. It's a blanket.
Is it? So, I thought someone was trying to tell me the other day they saw Baruz, because I think Hani now is with Panada and that as well, that they were trying to get maybe Baruz some sort of sponsorship through Panada. So maybe if Panada's sponsoring him in the United States, it might help him get his visa, someone was saying.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
It would help, but I think that I didn't address like Olympics and stuff like that, King. So that's not really including.
Because they have a very big problem right now. Listen, we never talk politics for a reason. I'm not left. I'm not right. I'm in the middle. So let's just get that out of the way. I got some conservative views. I got some liberal views, but that's it.
You're like me. You're the common sense is in the middle.
Exactly. I'm right. I'm right in the middle. Okay, but when they have a huge problem right now, this administration and this country, which is called the World Cup. What they are going to do with that, I have no fucking idea. Because to me, it is a huge clusterfuck that's about to happen, and I don't know if the United States, the administration understands what is about to happen. It's the biggest sporting event on the planet, and I don't think they understand that. They just think, oh, it's just soccer. No, it's not. It's not.
It's life that you go to Brazil or some of those European countries, soccer is life. remember Sean Davies?
Soccer is,
remember Sean Davies when he was with ProLab when I was in England and that? Sean Davies actually, rest in peace, one of my good friends, he was one of the heads of those like hooligan gangs. And he'd be telling me, oh yeah, Lee, before the soccer match, us and the opposing team will meet up in the street and we'll punch on, some get stabbed. He goes, let me tell you, if you get stabbed, that's the worst because you have to go to hospital and you miss the game. I said, Sean, that's crazy. He's like, no, he goes, that's part of the fun.
Yeah, it's part of fun. Yeah, exactly.
I forgot that movie was Soccer Hooligans or whatever. It was a really good movie and it portrayed like how it really is.
They love it.
Yeah.
They love it.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
Even if the team wins, even if the team wins, they go and fucking ride and turn cars.
Did Mike or King ever train at the famous Diamond Gym?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I trained there. I think it was once, and I went with a couple of my training partners. I forget if it was just a regular day or there was some event. Maybe it was after a show or. But I remember doing like an incline there. I was real strong at the time, and I think I was inclining 545 or something like that. And it was a great experience. I mean, anybody's been to that gym. It's an old school New Jersey gym, wood paneling on the walls, photos everywhere. And it just has the nostalgia. It's, all kinds of different equipment, Nautilus equipment, different plates from different companies. And, it was a really awesome gym.
Yeah, the day I went, Bo Matlock was there. People don't know who Bo Matlock is.
Oh, yeah.
One of the best light heavyweights that the country has ever, bodybuilding has ever seen. He should have kept it going. I don't know why he stopped, but he was one of the best.
Yeah, Jason Arndt, Johnny Morant.
I used to like they used to go to sometimes too. Bob's Strong and Shapely was a pretty good gym too.
I've been there hundreds of
them. Every Champions Day. Yep, that was great. Talk about the camaraderie back then. That was a great. There
was one problem with Strong and Shapely. The smell of mold used to make you dizzy. I mean, you literally get dizzy after being in there for about an hour. But other than that, amazing gym.
That was just a bodybuilder's. That was just a bodybuilder's tank top. Do you ever, when you get ready for a show, you'd have your favorite tank top. Even if you washed it, the second you sweat, you're like ammonia. You're like, what the
Lee, you know it's a hardcore gym where there's no cardio equipment. So, you'd go in the back, half the cardio equipment didn't work, number one.
Yeah.
Number two.
Well, Arnold used to tell me that when I was doing cardio. He'd look at me and shake his head when I was at World Gym. He's like, why you do that for? I go, didn't you do cardio? He's like, no, we just did more sets of squats and stuff for our cardio.
or they went to the beach and frolicked in the water and the sand. Yeah. Good old
That's how Metro Flex Arlington is. There's like a treadmill and a bike, and then it never works or whatever. So
I went to Metroplex. I was guest posing one time. I went to Metroplex, and Monica Brandt was there too. She had an appearance. Monica and I walked in there. It took us 2 minutes. Monica came to me and said, "I'm getting the fuck out of here. Are you staying?" I'm like, "I'll go with you." She goes, "All right, let's go."
But it's like Mike said too, back then too, I think the gyms had the atmosphere because the camaraderie between people. It's like you'd help people, you'd spot them, you would talk. Now everyone's on their phone, they got their earbuds in, they got their earmuffs on. That there's really no communication between people in the gym anymore. No one's really chatting or saying, how you going? Do you need a spot? Learning from people. Back then we all talked, we all helped one another. Now everyone's in their own little fucking bubble.
Well, you know how it is. You used to go help somebody, some younger kid or whatever, and like, man, thank you so much for that tip or whatever. You go to someone now and they're like, oh, okay. They just go back to doing exactly what they were doing.
God help you if it's a girl and she's younger and she thinks you're trying to hit on her.
Oh, God.
You will never see me helping another person in the gym ever. Because
I stopped that a long time ago. Girls like,
I saw a guy a couple of years ago. This guy was doing like 2 years ago, was doing 3 plates on an incline. He didn't look that big. I'm thinking, but I give people a benefit of doubt. There's lots of strong people who aren't muscular. So I'm watching him. He lifts it off and he's, I'm like, So I went over there. I said, no, this is pretty good. You lifted it off. It's the heavy weight. I go, you might do better if you brought it down more and stuff like that. He goes, this is how the guy on the internet told me to do it. I'm like, okay.
Lee, 2 days ago.
Excuse me.
2 days ago was finish up hack squats. And leg press was next. And I like to use the Cybex squat press. This kind of has an angle that goes like this. Yeah. That's my favorite leg press. I don't like the ones that go straight up and down. And there was this teenage cute little girl, ponytail, So I waited. I was, okay, she's got 4 plates on each side. It's better to just keep those on. Don't take them off. So I waited until she was done with her set. And I walked over and I went like this to get her attention because she had her hammer. And she goes, no. And I'm like, okay.
And if you're not paying me,
Yeah, I went like this. I said, leave the plates on. I'm next. She goes, oh, okay, I'm sorry. I'm like, I can't do it.
If you're not paying for their OnlyFans, you can't talk to them.
Unbelievable.
Exactly.
Just leave the fucking
even though they're taking photos and videos in the gym, you can't look at them, but they're going to put those same photos and videos online for thousands to look at them. But like you said, because you're not paying for it, you don't get a free look at the gym, mate.
Fuck that.
And the stuff they wear, you could see
they're getting shorter.
Their meat right through their pants and their whole everything. It's like
crazy. The top you're wearing is called a sports bra. The title, the word is in the title, bra. It's not a fucking top. And these girls yesterday at the gym, they're wearing these pastel colors. Black was pretty, you can't see much. These light colors, you can see the camel toe, you can see their shaving rash. But they're pulling the shorts up even higher. I'm thinking, what the fuck? I said, if men wore that, we'd be asked to leave the gym. We'd be like, oh, excuse me, sir, we're getting a few complaints. We can see if you're circumcised or not.
For the love of God, if Hot Skins is listening, if you guys are still out there, bring it back. I will be your best customer. I will be proud to wear those things and make people
but the women get upset because if you see camel toe, you're like, oh shit. But you can't tell me if a guy was laying on a bench in Hot Skins, bright yellow, and his package is this way, a girl's not going to walk past and look like that. Come on.
I love those things, man. Those were the best.
Yeah, it's absurd. Anything else, guys? You can think of Mike, Lee, King.
I'm good, baby. I'm good. As far as the coaching and all that stuff goes, I have 4 spots left. 4's left. And contact me. You send me a message on Instagram. I'll let you know what's going on. Only if you're serious. I don't want anybody who's not serious. None of you ladies from the Hamptons who contact me. Who just want to, I swear, I don't know what it is about. They just want to say that King Kamali trains them. They don't do anything. They go to the gym with their Louis Vuitton bags and their Starbucks. No, I don't want that. Just come to, if you're serious, contact me. That's all.
Can you come to my house and train me?
No, it's more like, and it's like King was saying, now before you all go off running, going crazy, we weren't picking on Boss of Outlaw. We're using him as an example. We're talking about all coaches and gurus, how people go to him. And like we're saying, he's a great guy. I've seen him on Fuad's podcast. I like him. I think he's entertaining too. I'm sure he knows what he's doing. But you still have to understand, these people are still experimenting and sometimes they get it wrong. But we're not picking on him saying he doesn't know what he's talking about. His clients come in smooth. He just tried something different. It didn't work. He'll take those notes. He'll go back and hopefully next time it will work. But then again, depending what you try, because how many times have we done a diet and you come into the show looking your best ever and you're like, fuck, I'll do that same diet next year. Never works the same. You always got to make changes all the time.
The body's never the same. And I love when clients tell you, well, for my last show, I did this and this. And I said, that was your last show. Your body's different this time. And going back to Boss, like we said, we're not picking on him at all. He's just the guy now with the most top clients. And like King and I called it way back, leaving too. We said exactly this is going to happen. Everybody's rushing to him. His guys are going to start coming off. You can't handle that many people. Find somebody like myself, or King, that preps people. Mike, I know you're starting to do it too. More, you're taking clients in too, and I won't. We don't care. Like we do this because we love it. Of course, it's living, but I'm not going to keep taking people in. I got to a point before where I was like, I can't take any more clients in. I'm full. Like I can't. If I help you, I'm not going to be able to help you. Like
and even sometimes too, you have to remember, coaches will tell their client, I want you to eat 100 grams of carbs and take this. But then sometimes the client would be like, you know what, I'm going to do 150 grams of carbs and I'm going to take a bit more drugs. So sometimes it's the client's fault because the coach might say, I want you to do this, but then the client or whoever will secretly add a bit more or do something more because they're like, I don't feel it. So, but they won't tell the coach what they've done. So sometimes
always communication, honesty and communication.
And that's why you can always blame it on the coach either, because a lot of these guys, they don't listen to the coach. They'll listen to oh, my last coach was telling me to do this, so I'm going to do this. You know who's really bad about that? James Hollingshead. He'll hire coaches like Milo. He did it with Milos and everything. And he's like, well, I wasn't really listening to much what he was telling me. Well, why didn't you hire him as a coach if you're not even listening to him? So a lot of these guys, you got to understand, they're not always listening to these coaches too. They're cheating. They're eating extra food. They're not doing
I'm sure it's
cardio
happened.
sessions.
I'm sure it's happened to you too. How many times do you have a guy come up to you at the gym and be like, Mike or King or that, what do you think about this? Should I eat this and take this and that? And you tell them, then you see them walk off and ask the same question to somebody else. You're like, then why the fuck did you ask me? You're going to ask 10 different people. You get 10 different fucking answers. That's why I said the internet's good and bad, because how many people you can say, you could give your client something and then they'll come back and go, but I read online. It's like, fuck what you read online. I'm the one coaching you, telling you, you can read online all you want. One day it's good, next day it's bad. This is the trend now. This isn't the trend. They're like, you'll go fucking nuts if you believe all this shit online. You're just going to be up and down, up and down.
Absolutely.
And I think there's something to be said to get a training coach that has, I think personally, it should be someone that's competed before, and hopefully at the professional level, because they have that eye, like King was talking about, to see when you're in shape. If you can just have an honest, communicative coach that can look at pictures of you 4 weeks out, 3 weeks out, 2 weeks out, and say, hey, you're looking great, cruise this out. But an honest eye to say also maybe 3 weeks out, hey, you need to cut your carbs. You need to cut this out because you got to come in much better shape. I think there's a lot to be said for that.
Not even the IDO, but they can understand when you're having those down days or up days, because they've been there, they've done that. They know when you're feeling low on carbs, when your mind's going fucking nuts. They understand all that compared to someone who has never dieted. They got no understanding of, oh, you're just complaining. Shut up. It's like, oh, okay. It's like, you know.
Yeah, they've been through it, and it goes both ways too. Because I see a lot of guys now, they're just now retiring. They never trained or prep people their whole career, and as soon as they, like, you know, let's say they retired last year, they're starting a coaching business now. They don't know how to coach people. They're a beginner coach. This guy asked Armon, are you a better coach than Boss Outlaw? There's nothing Boss of Outlaw can do that King and I cannot do. He doesn't have some formula we don't know about. He doesn't know more things than we know about. He just, when people rush to that and you get these big names, people are like, oh my gosh, he's got, like with Matt Jensen, he had Nick Walker in Dallas. Those are his clients, so everybody rushes to them, and then they realize, oh, okay, it's not doing stuff. So I mean, I've got clients from all these top coaches that have come to me over the years. Neil Heel. I mean, I remember one year Neil Heel had his clients. There was 3 of them. They were all prepping with him at through Destination because he was with Gas, and they all came to me. He had these guys eating 4 to 6 ounces of protein with each meal. You know, men, big bodybuilders, light heavies. I doubled all their food within weeks. They looked way better. So we're not saying we're better than any of these guys. There's everybody that's good at coaching. We can all pretty much do the same thing. Of course, there's different methods, and you got to find out who you jive with the best. And I always tell, do a consultation with that person, whether it's, King or me or whoever your coach is going to be, and see if you're going to mesh with that person too. Because if
you want to train, diet, and put on weight and be your happiest, come see me. I'll give you Kentucky. I'll give you Krispy Kreme, McDonald's. You'll be so happy. Now, you might not be healthy. You might get a little bit fat, but you'll be smiling, okay? Come see Lee for the bulk up.
Lee for the bulk up. That's a great way to end the show, brother. Leave for the bulk.
Leave for the dirty bulk. All right, guys. Anything else, Mike?
What's dirty bulk? I had a shower before I went to McDonald's. How dare you? And people say, Lee, in the off season, did you ever do cardio? I'm like, yeah, I walk to McDonald's or I walk around the food court. Isn't that cardio? We didn't have Uber Eats. I had to walk to Kentucky.
That's it.
I was just going to add, you asked me one more thing. Going back to the addiction and thing, I just wanted to tell people out there and some of your listeners that, whatever you're addicted to, I would tell them if you're going to try to come off, it's probably going to be the hardest thing you've ever done in your life.
It is the hardest thing, yeah.
But it will also be, once you're off, the best thing you can do for your life. So it's got that yin and that yang. So I just kind of want to give that positive message to people. You feel so much better. Just the fact that you knew, like, hey, I dug myself out of that hole. I mean, it's a tough hole to get out of. I know. So I just want to encourage people that do that hard thing. It's going to be the hardest thing in your life, but it's going to be the best thing.
And try and replace that something that was negative in your life with something positive, because I always find boredom or having too much time on your hands is the That's when you'll sit there
The
and
worst.
think too much about,
Being
oh,
bored
how
is the
good I felt
worst.
this. If you can keep busy, keep happy, and do something else that you love, you won't think about all that bad shit. It's when you got too much time and you're sitting there, you can go down that hole. You might be having a dull day. Oh, if I go take this, I'll feel better and shit. Get that out of your head. Go keep busy.
Yeah. Go work out.
And reach out to people. Don't be scared to reach
Yeah.
out to people that's been through it, like myself or Mike or even Lee that's been through it. And, hey, we're here to help. I'm not going to charge somebody to like tell you, hey, this is what I suggest maybe, to help trying to get off, because it makes you numb too. You guys know, your emotions become numb. You don't really feel much anymore. And when you get off all this stuff and start living normally again, you're like, oh man, I didn't hear the birds chirping for years. I didn't hear just the little things in life that make you happy, feeling the sun outside and all that stuff. You miss all that stuff. It blunts.
It's like you said, don't be scared to talk about it, because I know we sometimes feel like I'm the only one. You'd be surprised if you talk about it. There's so many other people going through it, because, I've talked about the couple of times I tried to commit suicide. I just do it in a funny way, just joking sometimes and that. But yet I've had so many people write back to me, Lee, I did the same thing. Or somebody will write to me and I write back to them and just talk about it. And then I'll get a thing 2 years later. I'm glad I spoke to you because I was ready to commit suicide. Now I'm married. I got kids. If you didn't talk to me that day. And that's why I try and reply back to most people on Instagram, because if they've taken the time to write to me, I try and write back to them, because you don't know what they're going through. Yes, you do get the dumb ones. You can pretty much weed out, okay, you're an idiot, I'm not going to write back to you. But just talking back to someone can change their life. And you might not even know you're changing their life just by having that little interaction.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Yeah, awesome. It's all. Yeah, there's always going to be a better day. You can think it's the worst day possible. Nothing's ever going to get better. Trust me, it always gets better, guys.
And I never go by that saying, you only live once. No, you only die once. You live every day, so make the most of it.
I like that. All right.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Peace out. Iron OGs. See y'all next week. Thanks, Lee. Thanks, Mike.
Take care.
Peace.
Bye.
Later.